So, you're thinking about putting solar panels on your roof. Awesome. But it can feel like a huge, complicated project, right? Well, today, we're going to pull back the curtain and break down the entire process of a home solar installation. We'll turn it into clear, easy-to-understand steps, all the way from the first calculation to flicking the switch. Let's get into it.
Here's the game plan. First, we'll figure out how much power you actually use. Then, we'll look at the different kinds of systems you can get. After that, we'll walk through the actual physical install, connect all the wires, and wrap things up with what is absolutely the most important part, safety.
So, making the switch to solar is on your mind. That's fantastic. But where do you even start? You might be surprised to hear that the very first step doesn't happen on your roof. It actually starts with a pen and paper and a little bit of simple math.
And that brings us to step 1, calculating your load. This right here is the absolute foundation of your entire project. Before you can even think about which panels to buy, you've got to know exactly how much electricity your home is drinking up.
Now, what's really cool is that getting a good estimate is surprisingly simple. You literally just make a list of everything you plug into a wall, find out its wattage, which is usually on a little sticker, and then add it all up. For instance, say you have 5 light bulbs and they each use 20 watts. Boom, that's a 100-watt load right there. Do that for your TV, your fridge, your chargers, and you'll get your grand total.
Okay, so once you have that magic number, your total load, the next big decision is picking the right type of solar system. And this choice really boils down to what you want to achieve and, honestly, where you live.
You've basically got 3 main flavors. First is on-grid. With this setup, all the power you generate goes straight to the utility company. You don't use it yourself. Then there's off-grid, which is the total opposite. You're your own little power island. It powers your home directly and usually stores extra energy in batteries for nighttime. Perfect for remote spots. And finally, you've got hybrid, which is the best of both worlds. It powers your home, it stores energy, and it can send any extra juice back to the grid.
Oh, and a quick but super important technical note before we go any further. You absolutely have to find out if your house runs on a single-phase or a 3-phase electrical supply. This little detail will have a big impact on the kind of equipment you're going to need.
All right, enough planning and paperwork. Now it's time to get hands-on. This is where we talk about the physical stuff, prepping the perfect spot and actually getting those solar panels up and mounted. You know, when it comes to getting the most power from your panels, location is everything. You're hunting for a spot that gets absolutely drenched in sunlight all day long, usually facing somewhere in the southwest. And the surface has to be clean, strong, level, and, this is a big one, completely free of shadows. Even a little shadow from a tree branch can really kill your power output.
So once you've got that perfect spot picked out, the process is pretty methodical. First, the mounting structure goes up, and its support legs get bolted down securely. Then the panels are carefully fastened onto that frame using these special clamps. And finally, the panels get wired to each other with connectors, forming what's called a string. That string is what kicks off the whole flow of electricity.
Okay, so our panels are mounted, they're all linked up in a string. Now for the magic trick. How do we get that power from the roof all the way down to your coffee maker? It involves a few key pieces of gear, all connected in a very specific order.
So the journey starts right here with the solar panels themselves. As soon as the sun hits them, they start generating electricity. But it's a very specific type of electricity called direct current, or DC power.
That DC power flowing from the panel string makes its very first stop at something called the DCDB, which stands for Direct Current Distribution Box. You can just think of it as the main hub where all that raw power from the roof gets collected.
From the DC-DC, the power then flows to what is arguably the brains of the entire system, the inverter. And this little device has one of the most important jobs of all.
The inverter's main job is to be a translator. See, the DC power from the panels is a language your home appliances don't understand. Your home speaks a language called alternating current, or AC. The inverter takes that DC power and converts it into the AC power that everything in your house actually uses.
After the power gets translated into that useful AC, it passes through one last box, the ACDB, or alternating current distribution box. This thing is basically a bodyguard for your house. It's a critical safety device that protects all of your appliances from any electrical surges or problems.
And finally, from the ACDB, that clean, safe, and usable AC power gets fed right into your home's main electrical panel. And just like that, it's ready to power your lights, your TV, everything.
We've talked about the planning, the building, and the wiring. But honestly, none of that matters without this last section. We have to cover the essential,
absolutely non-negotiable safety measures that are there to protect your system, and more importantly, your family and your home. Let's start with a big one. This is a mandatory rule. Proper earthing, you might know it as grounding, is crucial for preventing electrical shocks. And for a solar setup, the standard requires a bare minimum of 3 separate earthing points for all the equipment.
And grounding is just the beginning. A truly safe installation also needs a lightning arrestor, to protect against lightning strikes. It needs the right kind of earthing rods and chemical compounds to make sure the grounding works well. You should have a fire extinguisher nearby, and all the wiring has to be neatly tucked away in proper conduits and sealed up to protect it from weather.
And this really brings us to the single most important takeaway of this whole thing. Even if you feel like you understand every single step we just talked about, it is absolutely essential to have a trained professional come out to double-check the design and all the connections before you turn it on for the first time. Seriously, safety has to be number one.
So, there you have it, a full roadmap of the home solar installation process, from doing some simple math all the way to the final safety checks. Knowing what you know now, what would be the very first, most important question you'd ask a solar professional if you were planning your own project?